Thank you. Okay, good evening. This is the Town of East Lyme Board of Selectmen, notice of public hearing regarding an ordinance entitled Ordinance Establishing a School Building Committee. We could rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, and Ann Chicello is joining us by phone tonight. Ann, can you hear us?
I can hear you clearly. Thank
Okay,
you.
we can hear you through the system.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay. So let me read the notice. Notice is hereby given of a public hearing to be held by the East Lyme Board of Selectmen at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024, at the East Lyme Town Hall, 108 Pennsylvania Avenue, Niantic, Connecticut, to consider the ordinance entitled Ordinance Establishing a School Building Committee. Copies of the full text of the proposed ordinance are on file for public inspection at the office of the East Lyme Town Clerk, 108 Pennsylvania Avenue, Niantic, Connecticut, and at the website www.eltownhall.com, to which reference may be had. Interested persons are invited to attend and be heard. This is dated East Lyme, Connecticut, it was published on the 18th day of September 2024. So we're here to receive commentary from the public. Is there anyone that would like to address the Board of Selectmen regarding the subject ordinance? I'll ask again, is there anyone that would wish to address the board regarding the subject ordinance? Is there anyone else who would like to address the board regarding the ordinance? Being none, I have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Being none, hearing is closed. Excuse me. All right. Calling to order the East Lyme Board of Selectmen regular meeting of October 2nd, 2024 in the East Lyme Town Hall Upper Meeting Room, starting just after 7 o'clock after the public hearing was closed. We've already recited the Pledge of Allegiance, so we'll move on to additional agenda and consent calendar items. Do I hear any additions? Okay, being none, are there any public delegations tonight that would like to address the Board of Selectmen? Yes, please approach the podium, and if you could give...
Is that okay?
What's that?
It's not about the Board of Ed.
No, it can be about anything you desire. Just state your name and address for the record, so we have that.
My name is Donna Palumbo. I live at 133 Black Point Road. I was here a few weeks ago with 3 young ladies for the Girl Scouts, trying to get a dog, get some approvals to have a dog park. I'll try to give you the Reader's Digest version. I've been trying to work on this with Formica, Siri, and with Nickerson. I've been working on it for almost 10 years. I'm just feeling really upset about not having any support about it. We have a new Park and Rec gentleman that, God, I'm losing my train of thought right now, I'm sorry. Jerry, who's been really working with us, and I'm just so impressed with these young ladies, and I'm trying to support them because they really came to us, and they're sort of like, they're getting like an Eagle Scout badge kind of thing, but it's through the dog park. And I just have one comment to make. I might not have been paying attention, but the pickleball court got $275,000, prime property. We can't seem to find a place that would work well for us, and no one really seems to want to help us and be behind it. And so I'm a little upset that I just feel like I had to say that, because $275,000, and not any of them tried to raise any money that I'm aware of. We have approximately $15,000 of money that people, through a survey, said that they would contribute. And I know that if we had a spot for it, part of the reason we couldn't raise too much money before was because we don't have any place, you don't have a location, people don't want to donate. So I'm just here to say, please reconsider us and try to think of how we could maybe work together. But I'm really, really thinking, I'm upset about this 275, and there was lots of people that are part of that pickleball court, and they weren't asked to raise any money. We're coming with saying we can raise some money, and sort of like, well, there's no place, and they want to put, no, we can't go here, we can't go there, you know. So I'm just saying that because I just feel like I would like to just say how I feel.
We
And I would
appreciate
like to be reconsideration, but those three young ladies, they've been coming to every meeting for over a year, and I'm really staying, I'm sort of tired of the dog park thing because I've been involved so long. I only joined so that they know the history of what we've been through. But I hate to not support them and stay on because it'd be like I was abandoning them. So I would appreciate if you would reconsider us or get someone to help work with us better. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We appreciate that. Thank you. Is there anyone else this evening that would like to address the board? Yes. Please step forward and approach the podium and identify yourself for the record, please, and your address.
Good evening, everybody. If you don't know me, I am Janet Belin. I'm here. I was invited, feel delighted to be invited to talk about a little bit about because we celebrate the Hispanic Heritage Month that runs from September 15 to October 15. So I want to read some words that I want to tell you tonight. Thanks so much for the opportunity again.
You're welcome.
I need my cheers, I can see.
If you want to pull the microphone a little closer to you.
Okay.
Yeah, that is better. Thank you.
As we gather today, I want to take a moment to recognize and celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, a time to honor the rich cultures, diverse traditions, and significant contribution of Hispanic and Latino Americans to our communities and our nation. As the owner of Rosa Negra restaurant and an active member of the Latin community in New Haven and New London, I have seen firsthand the incredible strength and resilience of our community. Hispanic Heritage Month is not only an opportunity to celebrate our heritage, but also a chance to reflect on the importance of building bonds of connection in education, health, and quality of life. As a Latino business owner, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for all your support in this town, especially because it's where I approach first. Because along this path, it hasn't always been easy, especially when navigating the challenge that comes with a lack of information that differs from where we come from. Your support has made a significant impact and encouraged us to keep striving for success. Thank you so much for your support. And it's vital that we educate ourselves and work together to feed into the country that has given us so much opportunity. We want our children to thrive in schools, excel in sports, and become active participants in society. We must contribute to our communities and make them better places for everyone. In our own community, we are fortunate to have countless individuals and families who enrich our lives with their traditions, language, and perspectives. Their contributions are evident in our schools, business, and cultural celebrations. Let us take this month to learn more about their stories, support local Hispanic-owned business, and engage with our diverse neighbors. As we celebrate this month, let us also reaffirm our commitment to inclusivity and understanding, ensuring that everyone feels valued and heard in our community. Together, I'm pretty sure we can create an environment where diversity is not only acknowledgement but embraced. Thank you for taking this time to honor Hispanic Heritage Month. Here we are, ready to contribute to the development and well-being of this beautiful town. Let us continue to work together to build a more inclusive and vibrant community for all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Muchas
Thank you
gracias.
for your contributions and for that lovely painting at the end of the hall. That everybody enjoys that, so we thank you for that.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the Board of Selectmen tonight during the public delegations? Anyone else? Okay, so then we will,
No, we have
what's that?
these gentlemen.
Oh, I think you're going to do it later. You have an agenda item, right? Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. And the next is approval of the minutes, the regular meeting of September 18th, 2024. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the regular meeting minutes of September 18th, 2024 as submitted.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
Okay, we have a second. Any discussion, changes that need to be made? Any inaccuracies? None that I'm aware of. All right. Then, all in favor of accepting the minutes signify by saying aye.
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 And any objections or abstentions? Being none, the motion carries. Next on our agenda is the consent calendar. Let's see, where did that go? There it is. All right, do I hear a motion to accept the consent calendar?
I move to approve the consent calendar of October 2nd, 2024 in the amount of $4,043.61.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you. All right, any discussion regarding the consent calendar? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right. And any abstentions? Being none, motion carries, and we accept the consent calendar. Next on our agenda, new business, discussion and possible action, ordinance establishing a school building committee. All right, so we, let's see. Do I hear a motion?
Move the following. Resolved to enact an ordinance entitled Ordinance Establishing a School Building Committee presented at the public hearing before the Board of Selectmen on October 2nd, 2024. The effective date of the ordinance shall be 10 days after newspaper publication of the notice of its adoption.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All right. And of course, this is, we just had the public hearing, and this is to establish a school building committee to assist the town in the two roof projects that are going to be happening soon, I hope. So, all in favor of the approving the ordinance establishing a school building committee signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Being none, the motion carries. All right, next tonight is a discussion and possible action on EV charging rates. And I think we're going to have, Alex Close is going to address the board. Thank you,
All right.
Alex.
Yep. Good evening, everybody. For the record, Alex Close, the town engineer. So a while ago, with the previous board, we went through a process and we obtained a pretty large grant from Eversource to be able to install level 2 chargers at the municipal lots on Hope Street and Methodist Street, and 3-phase level 3 chargers here at Town Hall. And we are in the final stages. Basically, at this point, we just need Eversource to deliver the electricity to the site and be able to install a meter. Once that's done, our contractor can come in and finish the work to actually install the chargers. So that's already been coordinated and hopefully is going to be in execution in the next couple of months here. So at this point, it's basically time to start thinking about and taking action on how we want to charge and be able to collect revenues for these chargers. They're going to be town owned and maintained. We have a company that runs the software and stuff like that, so we would just basically need a point of contact. I think it'd be a joint effort between your director of finance, myself, and IT, the head of IT, in terms of the staff that would be here on a day-to-day if something was to go wrong or something like that. But basically, the bottom line is the board, we need to set a rate that would go into a fund. So I wrote this letter here, but I'll kind of break it down for you, and I'm really here to kind of take any of your questions, maybe answer some now, or if I can't answer questions now, to provide you an answer at the next meeting. So I'm not really expecting us to take any kind of action tonight. I think I want to take any feedback and get you the answers that you need to make to render a decision possibly in 2 weeks from now. But basically what's going to happen is these chargers are going to get installed, and they all have separate meters, so they're not tied to the building or something like that. And since they have separate meters, we're actually eligible to get a separate rate rider from EverSource. The current, as of September 1, 2024, for an EV small rate rider is a customer charge of $44, and then a total of 24.301 cents per kilowatt hour, which is consisting of the delivery and the supply charge. Now, the supply charge we may be able to get lower, just like you would on your residential home when you go and you say, well, I want to choose somebody that's not EverSource, but the delivery fee is set. So it's the same supply and delivery as we would have to pay our electric bills on any of our town facilities. We have meters, and we get we have to pay those bills, and we pay those through Public Works. So that's as of September 1, 2024. Of course, those prices are subject to change. And then there is a software fee that has already been paid out for 5 years, but it is something to consider in terms of a fee that it was for all 3 sites combined. It was $8,000 spread over 5 years, so that works out to be about $134 a month. And then that's just to pay the people that are running the software. There's a AT&T with a SIM card inside of these machines, and then any kind of future operation and maintenance. It's a 3-year warranty on the equipment, but if there's any kind of operation and maintenance outside of, particularly maintenance outside of that, the warranty items, and then any kind of future capital investment, if we see a lot of success and see a lot of people using these chargers in the future, if they want some kind of an expansion, etc. So where does that leave us, right? The first thing is we'll have to set up a special revenue account, because the special revenue account will allow us to both collect money and pay bills, and it also roll over from years to years. So if we end up paying out the bills, the electric bills, and we have this fund, it also serves as a fund for capital. Say 2 years, 3 years down the road, we need to make some kind of repair or some kind of investment for the infrastructure. The money's there and it's available in that special revenue account. That would be my recommendation for kind of the simplest way to handle this, because again, they're separately metered, so we can quantify and understand exactly what electricity is being used for these chargers, and then we can pay the bills for those meters out of that separate account. I would recommend that that's how we handle that. Now, I don't think we need action, but Kevin's here. He might maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but do we need action from Board of Selectmen to set up a special revenue account?
No.
Okay. So I just want to put out there to consideration. I've already spoken with Kevin, but I think logically that just makes the most sense, because it's a perpetual account and it allows us to both receive funds and pay funds. So that's kind of the first thing, is we would set that account up, and people would charge, they would pay. The software company that is part of that fee, there's 2 that we'd be working with. For the level 2 chargers, it'd be Amp Up, and for this company here, for the fast chargers, it'd be Loop. But basically, the software companies would handle all of the transactions. It would all be done digitally through an app. And I think anyone who owns an electric vehicle is going to be pretty familiar with what this process looks like at this point. But they would handle those transactions, and then we would collect the revenue and then be able to pay our bills. So that's kind of how that system would work. So this is where I guess I should stop there, and I'll say any questions, and then I'll kind of move on to the part B of this. Is there any kind of questions about having the charger and someone goes and they scan, they fill up their car, and then we could collect funds into a special revenue account? Is there any questions about that? Yes.
I do. So
I'll break it into 2 parts.
Can you talk a little bit about the break that employees or community members will get or could get?
That's part 2.
Part 2?
Sorry, yeah.
Okay. So you
That's
get
part
as
2.
well?
I want to say, yeah, that we'll talk about actually like setting rates as kind of part 2. I just want to make sure
Okay.
from a like install, going, setting up an account, having to pay electric bills, is there any kind of questions about that process? I just want to make sure.
I have a few, yeah.
Okay.
I'm curious, Rates are subject to approval for residential from Eversource. I was wondering, does this fall under a similar?
Actually, it's a separate rate.
So-
They have an electric vehicle charging rate, and because this is a separate meter that's only used for electric vehicle charging, we'd be able to get a separate rate from Eversource, outside from like a traditional residential.
And this would be negotiated
delivery rate.
directly with the town?
I don't think it's really so much as a negotiate. I don't know how much we can negotiate. I think it's just basically a discounted rate that they've built in. The Eversource representative that I'm dealing with would say, based on the number of chargers and the size, kilowatt size we're using, we'd probably be what's considered Eversource's electric vehicle small. I think they have like small, medium, large. And so that's the information that I have. They think most likely would be a small user. And so that, as I said, the current rates are, as you have in my memo, but that is Eversource would track that, okay, this meter for this customer, Town of East Lyme, is for EV charging, and this is what our delivery and supply rate is. And of course, you could always go to a different supplier. You don't have to use Eversource, but Eversource would be setting the delivery fee based on that. There's not really too, like, kind of like with your home, there's not, too much. They want to change your delivery fee, they're going to change your delivery fee.
So if there is a spike in Eversource's delivery fee, it's okay, it will be permissible for the town to switch to a different carrier?
Not delivery, supply.
Supply.
Yeah, just like in your home. Yeah, the delivery is your vendor, whether it's in here, it happens to be Eversource. If it's somewhere else, it's National Grid or CLNP or whatever it is. But yeah, Eversource actually owns that transmission infrastructure. They've made the investment into the line work to actually get it there, and that's why you pay them for delivery. But the person generating your electricity doesn't have to be Eversource. You can get the supply through a different vendor. And if you don't know that and you're sitting in this room, you can go on a website and just like look up CT supply rates and shop around, if you will.
Okay. Generally speaking, if there were to be some sort of damage to one of these pieces of infrastructure, would that fall under a general town insurance, or would that go to Eversource since they invested in the infrastructure?
It's ours. It would be our insurance, and it'd be our infrastructure. Eversource is simply giving us a grant and saying, here is money to put in this, charger, but it would be 100% owned by the town. It's not. It has no more ties to Eversource other than, like, everything to the meter would be town infrastructure, just like a building or anything else.
Okay.
Yep.
That's it for me. Thanks.
Awesome.
I just have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So we're talking about 3 meters in this,
Yep.
at this place. And are they all the fast charging meters, or are they?
So the fast chargers, which I think we're getting 50 kilowatt units, would be for town hall. I don't remember the exact size, but I predict them to probably be around 10 kilowatt units for the 2 parking lots. So I'll translate that into like what that means. If your vehicle can accept 50 kilowatts an hour, you probably have a fully electric vehicle, and I would say that's going to charge your vehicle between, like, fully 0 to full, with anywhere from, depending on your battery size, like an hour to 3 hours would fully charge the vehicle. It's not normal that you're rolling it in empty, but
Right.
Versus a 10 kilowatt charger per hour charger would, that's what you'd see. It's kind of common if you get like an upgraded system on your home. That's like kind of the highest you'll see in a residential area, and probably the lowest you'll see in a parking area. Would probably fully charge a vehicle closer to like 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours to fully completely charge a vehicle. That's what you're looking at in the parking lots, to kind of give you some perspective there.
And then the other question I have is, I'm assuming it'll work for a Tesla, but what about other electric vehicles? Do they work?
It's
Same
actually,
charger?
it'll work for all vehicles. Actually, we're getting the plugs that we're getting. The vendors don't have the NIAC, the Tesla adapters yet. So, and we'll probably get we're going to get the universal, I forget the alphabet soup for it, but basically it's the universal plug that works for everything except for a Tesla. And most Tesla owners and vice versa, if people own a different vehicle and want to use a Tesla station, they make an adapter for it. It's very common to just have that adapter in your vehicle
I see.
and use that adapter. So it's
Okay.
not that the vehicle can or cannot take the electricity or anything like that. It's just a difference in the plug.
So it's a difference in the plug interface?
Just the plug, that's all.
But
Yep.
the amperage,
electricity-
the juice coming out of it, it doesn't matter?
Correct.
It worked the same?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else at this point? Yep.
Risk reward. I have a friend that owns a lot of commercial property, and he's having them installed on 3 malls, strip malls. And he's decided it's no risk. The company buys them, installs them, responsible for any repairs, the software, and he gets a revenue off the rent they want them on their property and a profit of the charge. Why wouldn't we consider that route versus assuming the risk of somebody hitting it, leaving it, or somebody leaving their car there for 8 hours on charge while someone else wants to use it, or that's not really part of the risk. But why wouldn't we just be 100% efficient and not assume responsibility, or even sending somebody to school and training them how to repair these things versus having a company just take care of them?
Sure. Well, I don't know the process of what it would look like to rent infrastructure on the town's property. There may be an avenue for that. At the time when I was kind of tasked with looking into this, and the money was available through Eversource, which was a considerable amount paying for most of the project. Basically, all I can tell you, Don, is that that's the conversation that I had with the previous board, and these construction projects just take time, and that's where we're at in terms of, okay, there's money available, let's go after it and put the chargers in. And that was a decision that the previous board had gone through with and approved. In terms of whether there's an alternative to have someone come and put their infrastructure on town property and then rent it, I don't know. I can't speak really for that. I'd have to totally look into that as a separate avenue. At this point, we've already signed a contract, and we're gonna move forward with the installing of these per the contract. But for other town sites that aren't, if this becomes really successful, and there is someone who's willing to come and take all of that risk, and that's something that the Board of Selectmen at the time wants to consider at another site and try that out and kind of see how that goes, that maybe that's a worthwhile venture. We could certainly look into that.
Good. I'm just because these people own these strip malls, and they've all done studies that said it's more profitable, less risk by going that route. It's a little less gross revenue, of course,
Sure.
but long term for them, just providing a service and no risk.
I can say when I originally spoke with the last board, they had a lot of questions, and I reached out to a lot of municipalities, similar to municipalities along the shoreline, that have had these chargers installed and had them EV chargers installed for upwards of 10 years. And they've said, I'm just speaking on people that I've spoke with, that very little maintenance, haven't had any vandalism, haven't had any problems. And for a lot of municipalities, they basically said some grant happened, that at the time they said some grant happened 10 years ago, we put these things in, and people are showing up and charging their cars, and they're basically just working. Like a lot of municipalities, I don't even know who's really in charge of them. They're just kind of working. And some of those were not charging money at the time because that was a stipulation of the old grant money that first came out, and some were trying to transition to being able to charge people, and so on and so forth. But overall, from what I've heard from other municipalities of kind of similar to us, is it really has not been a problem maintaining these things or operating these things.
Okay.
And that was part of the information that was presented to the board. And definitely there was a lot of conversation at the time about, is this something we want to take on? And that was considered as part of that conversation.
Thank you.
Okay. So then I guess we'll move on to the
Okay.
second part of your
So
concern.
the second part is, it's really up to the board now to determine how they want to set rates and charge for these chargers. Now, I wrote a letter to you, Dan, and from what I've seen, and my recommendation would be basically a cost plus some sort of a fixed fee structure where the user is paying for the delivery and supply. The incentive there would be it's probably less expensive than, it's either less expensive than charging at your home, or it's more convenient, or the infrastructure is superior, like in the case of the fast chargers where you can charge your car quicker. So that way they would want to pay whatever rate we are getting. That's like, you know, that would be the rate that gets charged, plus some sort of set fee, whether that's an amount or a percentage on top of that, and that would cover your operation and maintenance, capital investment, and fees that are associated. Now, I kind of laid out an example of if we charged 5 cents per kilowatt hour on top of whatever Eversource is charging us, not including the customer charge administrative fee, just simply the per kilowatt hour charge, your electric supply and delivery rate that we would get from Eversource. If you take that rate and you add 5 cents to it, that should cover us for being able to pay the software fees, the Eversource monthly fee. There's a fee that basically with Eversource, you know, if nobody charges, no one uses the thing at all, currently it's $44 a month is just a fee that there exists. You know, that would be separate. So basically you see here your total per kilowatt hour charges of September 1, 2024 is 24.301 cents per kilowatt hour. If that were our rate at the time that we install these, and Eversource says, okay, this is what we're going to charge you for every kilowatt hour that someone is using this, and it's the meter's ticking. If we charge an additional 5 cents on top of that, that should be more than enough to, I wouldn't say like, you know, we're not here looking to make a profit, but it's enough to set aside to pay for these administrative fees, to pay for any potential repairs that might need to happen, and to possibly invest in future capital. Now, that is just a recommendation, and I caveat that with, it totally is going to depend on how many people are using this. The more people in town that we see using this, we can always come back and say, we're having great success and a lot of people are using this, and so this 5 cents, we could probably knock it down to 4 cents because, you know, the account has a bunch of money in it. We feel comfortable that it's enough that if something were to happen, we could pay for damages and we can pay for our fees, and now we could start charging people less. But the bottom line is, if people are at least covering their, whatever we're paying Eversource, our bill, if we're paying our bill plus just that little bit more, that goes into the special revenue account and stays there, then that kind of covers us for down the road, right? 5 years from now, we're going to need to pay another, I'd love for it to be another $8,000, but with the way prices are going, it's probably going to be more than that. I can't predict that, but 5 years from now, whatever that software fee is to that company that's managing the billing and also paying for the SIM card and the AT&T service that runs the SIM card, right? They're paying for that. That's the only thing that that is separate. That's going to come up, and then, like I said, any kind of repairs. If someone, you know, does hit like a bollard or something like that, and we're not able to recoup any of that through insurance, and we got to go and you know, put a new bollard in or something like that, there's a fund there that could cover that. Or if it's being really, really successful, we are future-proofing these with handholds for future conduits. So if we're seeing a lot of people using these all the time, we could actually extend off of the panels that we're putting in are bigger than what we need for just the current chargers. We could actually put more chargers in the future. We've baked that into the grant that we got, so we have that ability in the future. We would just have to pay for another charger and you know, an electrician to hook it up, basically. Right. So it's not my decision, though, right? I'm just recommending this 5 cents, and this is where I say some of the things that you know, you may want to consider. We have the ability to program different costs. It doesn't have to be a blanket 5 cents for everyone. So if we end up getting electric fleet vehicles in the future, there is a way to program it, and the employee would say, oh, this is a town car, right? Because right now we have our fueling pumps, but the residents can't use a fueling pump. So in this case, the fast chargers here at Town Hall, they could come up and say, this is for a town car, here's my employee code for the town car, and then that would know, okay, we're not gonna have to, it would be still tracked, we still have to pay Eversource, but it could be tracked separately in terms of this revenue is not gonna be collected on top of, you know, what's being paid, and it gets tracked separately by the software provider. If you wanna offer some kind of a residential discount, I say that because it came up with the previous board, I think that is possible. It may be something that needs to be handled, I'm just letting you know, like, it may be like a resident by resident basis, something that might have to get handled, I don't know, like with the assessor or something as town hall. I am looking into options on, well, can people just use like their address, and like, is it smart enough to know by zip code or something like that? I have a feeling if you wanna offer any kind of a residential discount, it's doable, but there may be some, you know, we'll have to figure out how to do it basically, but preliminarily, talking with the software company and the consultant we're working with, it is theoretically possible. Or if there's any kind of employee, staff, or commission, volunteer, I don't know if there's any other kind of you know, incentive rate or something like that you would want to consider. That's something that you'd also want to address in when you're setting your rates. You know, if you wanted different rates for different, you know, categories of people or something like that. But these are things that you kind of have to think about in terms of, I don't think anyone here is saying the town wants to make a profit. We'd want to probably cover operating costs, but really how much of the financial burden the town wants to take on for the infrastructure versus the user is really not for me to decide. It's you know, for our elected officials to decide. So that's kind of where that leaves us, and I have that breakdown in the memo that I've provided. So now I'll take any round two questions, and if I can't get an answer to you today, I hope to provide an answer to you between now and a couple of weeks from now. I'm not looking for any kind of decisions. It's just something we need to start thinking about.
Well, there is a lot to think,
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot to think about.
Absolutely, yep.
Candace, I think you had some round two questions before?
He just answered them.
You did?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So if someone is going to use this service at another facility, which is other than the town operation, then would that business be making a profit from what
Sure.
is being done?
Sure.
And with all of the expenses that this town has, and this is not a service that everybody in town is going to use, why wouldn't we want to make a small profit to cover some other expenses?
It's not my decision to make. Yeah.
The basic question
Yep.
was, if they go to any other facility, they're going to be paying fees that include a profit for whoever's managing that.
Sure.
Now, will this involve any extra time from town personnel?
Once it's up and running, the only time that's really been dedicated so far is engineering, just coordinating with the grant and everything is permission from the previous board. Once it's up and running, it should pretty much just be the people that were paying the fee. There's that software fee that I talked about, $8,000 spread over for the next 5 years. They should be managing almost everything. Like if there's a problem, basically, you know, myself or say, you know, Dan with IT could call them up and say, hey, we're having a problem, and they are supposed to handle fixing it. So I really don't anticipate it taking up a lot of time from town staff, because we're paying someone to do the management of the transaction end of things.
I don't own an electric vehicle, but there are other places currently in town where people can charge their vehicles. I've seen them at several places. So are we taking on this responsibility and then drawing business away from businesses that are paying a tax? In other words, they're paying a tax to the town for that service. So now, are we going to be taking business away from them for us to take on the responsibility? Just a rhetorical question. If they're going to make a profit, I think we should.
Well, I don't want to interrupt If anybody has a comment. There's a lot of facets to this question, and one of the starting off points, as I see it, is do we want this to be a convenience to people that work and live in East Lyme, or are we trying to? I don't think we're going to balance the budget on these charging stations, even if we raise the rate higher than anyone else. We're not talking about a lot of money over a year on 3 charging stations. But what is significant, I think, is that the presence of these charging stations will probably encourage others that might not go out and purchase an electric car, which I think typically costs more than gas cars. And if they're registered in East Lyme, well, maybe there's a property tax benefit that the town enjoys by attracting people to buying Teslas and other cars that are a little pricier and that they pay property tax on. So I think we have to look at the bigger picture. And then also there's the, environmental concerns and improvements, I believe, but that's, a bigger discussion. But my feeling is, I don't think we're here to really try to make a profit so much, at least that's my feeling, as more than trying to provide a convenience to people that work and live here. I don't know what other members feel in that regard, but it's something we can. I guess we won't come to any conclusions at this meeting, but something I think we need to think about and have it on a future meeting, and so we can all get a little bit better informed and think it over. When do you need a decision for this, for the work that you're doing? Do we have luxury of time?
We won't even see a rate until the meter is installed. So I would say at this point, I'd say we probably have at least a month
Okay.
before we're actually in a situation where I'd say probably at least between a month to 2 months before we've got these things up and running at this point.
So we have a couple of
'cause we're
meetings
waiting-
to think
yeah,
this
'cause we're
through
waiting
and
on-
sort it
exactly.
out.
Exactly. I just wanted to present this today.
Yeah.
To give, at least 2 weeks to a month's notice I didn't know how many questions we would have. And again, that's where I say this 5 cents that I came up with is, as of September 1, as of last month, with basically one vehicle doing a significant charge at each port a day.
Yeah.
That 5 cents would be enough to cover our costs, and that's kind of where. And then I also have in here other municipalities that I saw are charging about 30 cents from what I've seen from other municipal owned chargers, and it happens to be like 24.3 cents plus 5 cents is 30-ish. It's 29.3 cents. And so I wanted to at least give you a starting point to, get the gears turning and start thinking about this. That's my prediction of where kind of a general break-even point would be, with the idea that this is going to be, no matter what you decide, we're really not going to understand it and for a couple of months until people start using it. And then we can see what the metrics are, and we can make adjustments as needed. It's as simple as coming back to the board and presenting and saying, these are the findings, and do you want to adjust something?
Yeah.
But definitely, if you don't have any other questions, or if any of the board members have questions between now and next meeting, or we'll talk, Dan, whenever you feel comfortable you want me to come back and present again, to actually render any decision.
I wonder if there isn't some data out there or a table somewhere that shows what other municipalities in the region or in Connecticut are charging. I don't know if that's available easily.
Yeah.
If you have that, that would be good. Maybe share it.
Sure. I'll try to dig into it a little bit
Yeah, so we have some sense
deeper.
of.
Like I said, I'm seeing about 30 cents, but that information at this point is a few months old.
Yeah.
So it could have changed a little bit, but I'll look into what other.
Great.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah. Any idea, what is it, if you have a Tesla that's 3/4 empty, one quarter full, any idea what it costs to go from there to a full charge at a charging station?
I don't know what the battery size is on a Tesla, but I'm presuming they're pretty big, so I'm saying probably 100 kilowatt hours is probably the battery on a Tesla. So 75 kilowatts would be, you said a 3/4 charge, I'm gonna say roughly. So let's say it was 70, is this maximum size? Is the long range? Okay, so, you know, let's say they want to go, let's say you do end up charging like 30 cents. What do you doing the math too, Kevin? 75 kilowatt hours at 75% is 56.25 kilowatt hours at, 0.3. Like $17.
Somewhere around-
Yeah, 17, like 16.8, $17. I just wanted to do it twice, so I was like,
Yeah, okay.
just double check my
Just-
iPhone calculator. Yeah.
No benchmark even.
So
Yeah, all
three
right.
quarters of a Tesla at 30 cents would be
Oh, 20
$17 bucks
17 bucks.
at 30 cents a kilowatt hour.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate all your hard work on this, too.
Thank you.
I know this is
Yep.
a lot. This will be a step in the right direction, I think, and moving towards the future here in East Lyme. Thank you very much. All right, interesting stuff. Okay, I'm just, hold on for 1 minute. We had the discussion. Okay, we're gonna, next is appointments to the Fair Rent Commission. So, we had 2 slots that opened up. We thought we had populated the commission last time, but as it turned out, 2 people, one wasn't able to do it and the other one didn't want to do it. So we have 2 slots to fill. So I'm wondering, I've passed out the names of the people that are already on the commission and the alternates. But we'd like to see if we can get 2 more members of the full commission this evening so we can have a functioning Fair Rent Commission board. So with that, is there anyone that would, that is interested, that wants to address the board, or can we just move right into nominations?
I'd like to
First
make
of
a
all,
nomination.
Pardon me?
I said I'd like to make a nomination.
You'd like to make a nomination? Okay.
well, first of all,
What?
could we know what the slots have to be? In other words, one of the applicants filled the slot of a landlord. So now do we have to have another landlord?
May I make my motion?
Take
Shake
that.
the button.
I'll withdraw my question, she can make her motion.
Thank you. I'd like to nominate Alicia Chandler,
Okay.
Fair Rent Commission.
And do I hear a second?
I'm sorry, I don't know how to proceed with this. There are multiple terms that are available. Could I perhaps nominate her with the terms that I have available on this paper, or do you want to read off
Why
this
don't you
paper?
why don't you share the?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna do that.
We'll collaborate on the
There you go.
motion.
That sounds good.
So there's a 2-year and there's 4-year.
Okay, well, I'd like to nominate Alicia Chandler for the 4-year slot for, wait a minute, stay tuned.
That's the second one.
As a member of it.
Yes.
She would be a member. I'd like to make a motion for Alicia Chandler to be a member of the Fair Rent Commission for the town of East Lyme for the term to expire on January 3rd, 2028.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a second. Is there any discussion? There is, now, I don't know let's see. Let me see.
What position would it be in?
It'd be on the-
So just,
No, but I'm saying.
so my understanding is, according to the, what I see,
What's the question? I just asked, do I have a titles?
I was just going to say, my understanding is that Alicia is a Democrat, is that right?
Yes.
To my knowledge,
Okay, and she's also a tenant, is that right?
Yes.
to my knowledge.
Okay, so that would satisfy, that would be consistent with who, the members that are already on the board, so that would give us another tenant and another Democrat. So, okay. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Any abstentions? Being none, the motion carries. And Alicia, congratulations. We look forward to your participation on the board. Thank you for willing to do it. It's not something that everyone is apt to want to do, but we appreciate your willingness to serve. So now we need one more member. Do I hear any other motions?
I have one, Dan. You need a landlord, right?
We do. That's in order to have a functioning board and to comply with the ordinance, we do need a landlord. It doesn't matter what party affiliation they are. We already have the one Republican that we need on the commission. So, do you have someone that you'd like to nominate?
We've already nominated as an alternate. He has not been sworn in yet. I found out that he would be interested in taking that step up, so I'd like to nominate Steve Carpenteri to be the landlord.
Okay.
I'll second.
We have a second. I mean, that's really good news because that would allow us to have, the last time there was this whole matrix we had to figure out, but that would satisfy what we need so we could have a functioning and working board. So
It's a good
that's,
thing he wasn't sworn in yet.
yes, that was fortunate. They didn't make it over here to be sworn in. So we can do that, and that'll just leave an opening on the as an alternate. And if we can find another landlord in the future to be an alternate, that would be great. And I hope there's some interest, but it'll allow the commission to start functioning once Steve is appointed. So, is there any further discussion regarding Steve Carpenteri?
I would just like to ask Sandy a question. Do you need the term expiration within the motion for this one?
Yes,
Okay.
All right.
and that one would be the 2-year.
Yes.
2-year term.
So should we go back to Don on this one?
Just to amend the motion to.
I think that's the only way
Can you just amend the motion so that we include the term
Sure.
that's expired?
I'd like to amend the motion nominating Steve Carpenteri as a member of the Fair Rent Commission with his term to expire January 5th, 2026.
Great.
I'll second.
And we have the second. So, all right. Do we need any further discussion? Being none, all in favor of appointing Steve Carpenteri signify by saying aye.
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 All right. And any opposed? Any abstentions? Being none, the motion carries. And we welcome Steve to the Fair Rent Commission Board. So we now have a fully populated Fair Rent Commission Board. And thank you and congratulations, I guess, to those that are involved. What I would recommend is anyone that's been appointed now that hasn't been sworn in, if you would please go to the town clerk's office and be sworn in so that we can start the functioning of the board. Everybody needs to be sworn in before we can go that next step. And then they'll have to establish a time for the first meeting, set up an agenda, and you will appoint your chairperson at that time. But we can talk about that at a later date. You can call the town hall. We'll get you that information. But the most important thing now is for those that have been appointed, please get to the town clerk's office and be sworn in. So thank you, everybody. All right, that's a big step.
Dan, before we move on for this?
Yes.
We now have a vacancy on the alternate position. Should we as a board seek to fill that, or should we pass it along to the full seated commission?
That's a good question.
What was the question?
So the question is, now that we have a fully seated board, is it up to them or us? I think it's still us because it's an appointment. I think we still have the authority and the duty to appoint. Because they haven't, yeah. And I'm getting a nod from our town council, Attorney O'Connell, so, yeah. So we still have the duty to appoint someone as an alternate. But it does have to be someone that is a landlord. So if anyone knows anyone that has an interest that is a residential landlord, please encourage them to contact me or anybody on the panel here, or Sandy, so we can.
May I just ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Is it a viable consideration to ask the commission to put forward a name as a recommendation?
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, I think we'd welcome any
Okay.
suggestion, sure.
I think that's fair.
No, that'd be great. We want to find someone that'll want to do the job. So
And to be clear, the commission can go forward with their business once
Yeah.
these commissioners are sworn in.
That's to my
once they're
knowledge.
sworn in, yeah, we don't
even
have to
without
wait.
the alternate.
We don't need to have the alternate. My understanding and belief is that they can start to function as a board. So that's what we've been hoping for. So next up is on the members to get sworn in. Okay, great. All right, next on our agenda, we have a presentation regarding open space by Art Carlson and attorney Anthony Novak that are here tonight. And so I welcome you to address the board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Novak.
So good evening, members of the East Lyme Board of Selectmen. I've been here before. My name is Anthony Novak, and I'm legal counsel to the East Lyme Land Trust. I'm here this evening with Mr. Art Carlson, president of the East Lyme Land Trust. And Mr. Carlson has been working on an opportunity for 6 months or longer, which may give the town a great benefit. And so you may recall that the Hathaway property located here in town was purchased by the town with the great assistance of Mr. Cunningham and Mr. Siri prior to him, and that was finally purchased. Unfortunately, the developer who sold the property to the land trust, and the land trust then conveyed it to the town, kept out 6.1 acres of property called the Point. And there's a map, I believe, that should have been distributed to you folks, which shows that the 6.1 acres is right on the corner there, surrounded by the lake. And I believe, though it hasn't been done yet, I believe that the current owner of that 6 acres, which is a company called Portside Holdings, and Mr. Steve Harney is part of that organization that owns that 6 acres. He's in negotiations with a company called DeVal. DeVal is not a local company. It's out of New York or something. It's a very large conglomerate. And they're looking to go in with a 3-lot subdivision to that 6 acres. Right now, there is an appraisal on that property by Buckley that says that the point, 6 acres at that point is worth approximately $600,000. If there's a 3-lot subdivision that is approved, which they're going in, like I said, this week or next week, it'll be worth about $1.2 million. And there'll be houses put there. This is right at the edge of the Hathaway property that the town currently owns. There has been a 750-foot driveway that's been put to the property. I think it's just roughed in. It has to be finished out. But there's access to it. Mr. Carlson has been in negotiations with Mr. Harney, and Mr. Harney is willing to sell the property to the land trust or the town for $400,000. It's a great opportunity, I think, because it's worth $600,000. If they go in with the subdivision, it's worth $1.2 million. The road is in, just needs to be finished off. So people could drive right up there. There's an area that they could make a little parking lot, gravel parking lot, use it for fishing, use it for recreational purposes. It's a great little piece of property that just augments the property that the town already owns. There is a $400,000 grant that was assigned from the land trust to the town, which I believe has not been paid by the state DEEP yet. That $400,000 could be used to buy this parcel. Wouldn't cost the town anything. The state could then, the town could then apply to another DEEP grant, though it's a little tight on time. I think the time period for the new grant round is December 5th of 2024. But the Land Trust is willing to assist the town in getting another grant to reimburse the $400,000 that the town could use to buy this 6-point-something acres, to put the whole package together. And it's a remarkable piece of property. I don't know if any of you have been out there, but it's been in the same family since 1730. It was given to the Hathaway family as a grant by the King of England. And it's never been subdivided, never been out of the family until recently when there was a partition sale, it was called. One of the family members wanted to buy out the others didn't want to sell. Eventually it went to a partition sale where the town is now the owner. So it looks like a great deal. The problem is Mr. Harney is a bit of a difficult character to deal with, to say the least. And he is adamant that he will give the town the opportunity to buy this for the $400,000, but it's got to be done by year end. Otherwise, he's selling it to the Duval Group, and they're paying a lot more than $400,000. They're paying over $600,000 for it. So Mr. Carlson is here with me. He is the expert on water quality, and he's going to give you a very brief analysis of why this is such an important piece of property for the town to obtain. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Novak. Appreciate your presentation.
Good evening. Yes, what I'm going to do is I want to make it clear what the motivation is, what motivates the Land Trust to do what it does. I want to go over a few points, ask a few questions, and out of this, I think we'll get a clear understanding of what's driving the Land Trust to say, my gosh, as a town, let's do this. This is very important to us. I made a couple of short sentences here, which I'd like to read and give an opinion on. Approximate town budget last year was I said 90 million. It turns out to be 95, I guess. And there's been talk about, well, the $400,000 that the town got for that from the Land Trust. We ought to add that to the budget. And my comment on that is that's less than 1/2 of 1%. Okay, just hold that idea. We're not getting a heck of a pile. With the 400K, which the Land Trust received from DEEP for open spaces, we, that is the citizens of this town, can protect 1,188 feet of shoreline, 6 acres of open space in the watershed of well 5. That sums it up, okay? The big deal here is what we've got to do in this town is we have got to maintain and protect the watersheds of our public drinking water wells, period. There's no ands if, there's no discussion on this. Well number 5, which is fed by this watershed, produces the most gallons per well. It has the least salt of any well, and it has right now the most protected watershed. In fact, the Land Trust, just to give you an idea, we own 40 acres adjacent to the Hathaway property. Was as an easement. We got this 35 years ago. Town now recently bought 120 acres. Within this watershed, there's Yale, Niantic State Forest, they have 500 acres. Girl Scout camp, Whitegate Farm, and the golf course, another 250 acres. What I just read off is a protection scheme that's in effect for this drinking water supply, period. It doesn't get any better than that. And it's a kind of a de facto thing. We should have been planning this 30 years ago when we built the water system, but we didn't. But now we're playing catch-up ball. What this small area does, it ties together all the rest of, there's no more open space to buy in this watershed, okay? Now, why is well 5 also the most important one? It's upstream of Route 1. Any oil spill on Route 1 or I-95, and there's thousands of vehicles each day, could put the other wells out of business, because that, whatever the contaminant is, it flows downhill to the ocean, and it would ruin our other wells, okay? You couldn't count on that not happening. So there's every reason in the world for the town to complete this deal with Harney. I'm open for questions.
I think we understand the the proximity of that parcel to the well and the aquifer. I think that's
my
understood.
main point.
Yeah.
Even for this, but for other well protection, we've never had a program to really build and design watershed protection plans to the wells and so on. It's been taken for granted. We lucked out, to tell you the truth.
All right.
Now we can't luck out anymore.
All right. Are there any questions for Mr. Carlson?
Could you review the $400,000 grant? Does the land trust have that money, and then we're going to assist you with that, or?
Would you answer that question?
The $400,000 grant was given or awarded to the land trust. When the property of the main pathway property was sold to the town, and the money that came in paid off the mortgage that the land trust had taken on the property to acquire it. There was no profit here for the land trust. It was just simply it paid off its indebtedness that it secured when it purchased it. There was a $400,000 grant. That $400,000 grant was assigned to the town at the time that the property was transferred from the land trust to the town. I don't think that the town has collected that yet. I think that the state is still in the process of needing some final documents or something. I can defer to.
Yeah, looking for the final map to show the conservation easement. But,
So that
hopefully-
$400,000 has not come into the town yet.
State of Connecticut has it, but
Right.
it's earmarked for us.
But it's earmarked, it's there, it's been granted. So what the land trust is suggesting is that $400,000 grant, rather than having it come into the town, put in the general fund or whatever you're going to do with it, that $400,000 be used to purchase this 6-point-some-odd acres of lake frontage, again, which is worth considerably more based on Buckley's appraisal. And then on top of that, the land trust could assist the town in applying for a further grant, which is due by December 5th of 2024, resulting in the free piece of property to the town.
We need to move with great haste with
Unfortunately, we need
this.
to move quickly on this, yes. And Mr. Harney has made it very clear to us that if the town is not interested, please let him know, and he will sell it to the Duval folks, who will then put 3 houses in there.
So, I don't want you to go into all the stipulations of whatever negotiations or talks you had, but are we looking to have a completed sale by the end of the year, or a commitment from the town, or what sort of guarantees
Probably
is
a
it looking
commitment
for?
from the town, a contract, the deed would be held in escrow. I spoke earlier today with Dan on a few other matters, and this came up briefly. And basically, I would hold, or on behalf of the land trust, the deeds and trust until you guys could formulate the finalized payment.
Okay, so this does not need to be a slam dunk by the end of December. This just needs to begin shortly.
It needs to begin, and there needs to be some commitments, yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Not for me. Anyone else on the, thank you very much.
Mr. Carlson, what would 3 homes do to the water?
Pardon me?
What would 3 homes do to the water there?
It's not the 3 homes. It's that takes part of the watershed away. The water, when we talk watershed, if you have roads in a watershed, the roads don't pollute the water. They cause the water to run off. That's what happens. We have to have as much natural absorptivity as possible.
Got it, thank you.
Number 2, from a recreation point of view, this is about almost a quarter of a mile open to the public for sitting on the edge of Lake Patagonia. Where can you do that? Where can you do that? Where can you fish? There is no place. Okay? And we're running out of space. Open space. Okay? And we don't make these decisions as a bunch of, running around trying to save the world. That's not the point. If you got in your data, it's table 1. We have 8 points. We developed a scheme. 8 points of developing the characteristics of open space so we could quantify it. The first one, drinking water quality and quantity. That's worth 10 points. Second one, access to water usage for the public, for recreation, small boat access. If the land used for farmland, active passive recreation, forest block or greenway. A 100-acre parcel, for example, is worth far more than 100 one-acre lots, ecologically speaking. Does it have unique geological features, including rock ledges, etc.? Cultural, historical, are there aspects there that we ought to save it? And finally, biodiversity. So when we come up and say, this is a good piece of land, we've looked at it closely, okay? It's not pie in the sky, it's what we should have. And finally, just to read the kind of land, what we've tried to do in this watershed, we have about roughly, we've got the town to buy about 150 acres of this 800-acre watershed. Now, blessedly, most of the other land is owned by Yale and Niantic State Forest. So we've got almost all that land in that watershed, which feeds the best well in town under public use, under public ownership. That's what we should have been doing 30 years ago. Okay, we're playing catch-up ball, okay? But we're playing it in an intelligent, informed way, period.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Are there any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Carlson. Thank you, Attorney Novak. All right, next item on our agenda is a discussion and a possible action, certified resolution of, what's it? SHPO, what does that stand for?
SHPO.
What does that stand for? Do we know what that stands for?
It's
State, there we go, thank you, State Historic Preservation Office grant. All right, so, and this is a grant to help out the, yeah, it's Brookside, I still go back to the old name, Brookside Farm Museum, and it's a historic structure, and it'll help them in preserving the some of the artifacts there, and help them to continue to improve the presence in East Lyme at Brookside Farm. Do we have a motion?
Move the following. Resolved that Daniel R. Cunningham, who is the first selectman of the town of East Lyme, is empowered to execute and deliver in the name and on behalf of the town of East Lyme a certain contract with the State of Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development, and to affix the corporate seal, if any.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
So part of this is that the Friends of Brookside Farm have committed to match the grant in the amount of $5,000, and this will be used to help replace the porch. And it'll cover the balance that they need from the amount they receive from the grant. So the grant is $5,000, and if they contribute $5,000, then hopefully they'll have enough to repair the porch at the Brookside Farm Museum. What?
This for a second?
What's that?
Can I speak to this for a second?
Yes?
Yeah.
All right. So, this grant is an initial grant to study Brookside Farm, the building, the outside, the inside, everything with that building. So when we go to repair it, because there was, I believe, either 20 or 60,000 we put aside to kind of start work, and then we also put money aside, losing our LoCIP funds. So we have quite a bit of money set aside, but there's grants out there with the State Historic Preservation Office as well. Before they would give us a grant or let us spend LoCIP money, they want us to do a study on the property, figure out what's wrong with it, and what's the best, remediation effort. So this is step one. So we have $5,000 already in the capital projects to renovate and repair that building. So we're just taking $5,000 out of there to initially start this study to see what is actually going on with the nuts and bolts of the building. So this is just like phase one of a multi-phase project there at Brookside Farm.
So the grant, would we receive $5,000, or is that what we're?
So the grant, we need to match 10,000. So
okay.
the friends are giving 5, and we're
giving
as the
5.
town we're matching 5.
So all right, so the total is 10,000
Yep.
that we're matching.
Mhm.
So they can
And that's a
get the-
matching grant with SHPO. So
Gotcha.
really the total cost of the study is 20,000.
Yep.
So we're putting up 5, the Friends is putting up 5, State's putting in 10 for the study.
Gotcha. And then that'll be used for some of the repairs, including,
So that's to tell us what's wrong with the building.
Okay.
And then start the repair process.
Gotcha. So this is
Initially,
the
we want
study
to
to-
paint it, but there's quite a few things wrong with this house.
Yeah.
So this is really to do a full dive, and for the State Historic Preservation Office to tell us what do they see is wrong with the house, and then course of actions on how to fix it.
so that's really the first step in getting the house straightened out.
Correct.
And ultimately getting other grant money down the road.
Yep.
Potentially. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for that explanation. Yeah, you did it far better than I, so appreciate it. All right. I thought it was to fix the porch. What the hell going on? All right, so listen, okay. So, I'm sorry.
That was phase one.
That's good.
Okay, so, we have a first and a second? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Terrific, all right. Well, that'll be a step in the right direction. Okay, let's see, what we got next here? Okay, back to the Fair Rent Commission. There we go. So, last time we appointed as an alternate Mike Bekich, but we didn't, I don't think we established his term. So we need to appoint or amend the term of Mike Bekich. So do we have a motion that correctly
Yes.
states his term?
I move to appoint Mike Bekich of 84 Hope Street, Niantic, as an alternate member on the Fair Rent Commission for the town of East Lyme, with a term to expire on January 5th, 2026.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, so there are staggered terms for the commission, and we didn't have it quite right, but I think now we do. So, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Oh, any abstentions? Being none, motion carries. And now Mike Bekich is appointed to the right term, so everything works. Next is general discussion, Fair Rent Commission. I think we talked about it a little bit. Basically, everybody's got to get sworn in. We now have a working board. The next step will be to start process. They need to meet. They need to appoint a chairperson. Ed, are you able to address that, what their process should be? Could you, if you could, I'd appreciate it, so they understand it, so we understand. It's not that often we create a new commission, so I want to make sure I don't give them the wrong information.
Sure. You stole some of my thunder, because that was my first point, that now that you have a working commission, at their initial meeting, they will elect a chair, and probably they missed the recent meeting about the FOI Commission, their duties under that, so we have to give them a little bit of a lecture on the FOI Commission. This is a commission that holds hearings, so we would give them a little bit of a heads up on that, and creating a record and items such as that. And the commission will also have to get up to speed on the ordinance, because the ordinance has certain requirements about notices that are given out when a complaint is filed, and certain types of information that is contained in each type of notice. So we'll have to get the forms started to be created. And they have to be aware of the statutes. We'll have to tell them the statutes, because the ordinance that we use to establish the commission is a general ordinance that was recommended by the state housing people, and we adopted it, and it's the ordinance that is used mostly in the state of Connecticut. And it makes reference to state housing laws that the commission has to be aware of and follow. So we have to catch the commission up to speed on those statutes. So they're going to have to be doing a lot of work right away in the beginning. And the ordinance itself is fairly particular in advising the commission about what they have to consider in determining if a rent is that's being imposed and someone is complaining about it. There are 13 different factors that the commission has to consider in looking at that rent. I'll quickly go through them so you can see what the work of the commission has to be. They have to look at the rent charge for the same number of rooms in other housing accommodations in other areas of the municipality. They have to look at the sanitary conditions in the housing accommodation issue, the number of bathtubs or showers, toilets, kitchen sinks, etc., services, furniture and furnishings, if it's a furnished apartment, size and number of bedrooms, the repairs necessary to make the accommodation livable, the amount of taxes charged, whether the accommodation is in compliance with the ordinances of the town, the income of the petitioner, and the availability of accommodations, the availability of the utilities, damages done to the premises by the tenant, goes both ways, the amount and frequency of increases in rents, whether and to the extent that the income from an increase in rent will be used to make improvements to the accommodation. That's 13 different factors they have to consider. No one factor has priority over another, and other considerations can be taken into account. And you heard me say that they have to become familiar with the other rentals in town, so they have to be aware of that. And so they got to be aware of the rents in the locality of the town. It also, and I've talked to the first selectman, we have to get a dedicated staff person to create and administer the required forms and notices, and keep track of dates which are set forth in the ordinance. And we probably have to get to work immediately on that, because once the commission gets up and running, it will want to review those forms and approve them so that the staff person can deal with members of the public when they come in to make a complaint. So it's going to be a large amount of work facing the commission when it first meets. It probably will smooth out over a period of time, but this is going to be a very busy and active commission. And there's one last thing I would mention. The ordinance mentions that the commission or municipal staff made to the extent practicable and encourage the parties to the complaint to reach a mutually satisfactory resolution through informal conciliation. Municipal staff may serve as informal conciliators. And that was brought home to me when I was appointed by the town of Groton as an interim town attorney because the regular town attorney had a conflict of interest, and I sat by designation to be the lawyer for the Groton Fair Rent Commission. And we had a very detailed and very intense appeal by a person in an apartment who saw her rent go up considerably. And she was a disabled person who worked at Electric Boat, and she didn't think she could handle that additional rent. And we got to the hearing phase, and it turned out that she was looking at a chart for the additional rent, and she looked at the wrong column. And when it turned out that the right column was pointed out to her, it was not a large increase in rent at all. And the parties were happy with each other, and it ended. And had Groton put them together early in the process, it would have saved a lot of time, effort, and overhead by Groton, and it would have saved my attorney's fees. So it's worthwhile seeing if we can find a system where a municipal staff member can see if they can get the complainant and the landlord together early in the process to iron out mutual mistakes, to find out if there really is a dispute. So that's another one we have to consider. So that's my general outline. It was labeled in the agenda as a general discussion, so I didn't know what you were thinking about when you had it that way. So I did a general outline, and that's what it is.
Well, that's very helpful. The other thing I wanted to ask is, so the mechanics of establishing their first meeting, how do they go about that? Do they call one another, or is that something that the first selectman should do?
I think the first selectman's office would notify the members of an organizational meeting, and I think usually the first selectman presides at the meeting until a chair is appointed, and then the chair takes over.
Got it.
May I ask a question?
Of course.
Also, so when we established the Youth and Family Human Services Commission,
Yeah.
they did their own thing. They set up their day, time. I was there present when they voted on a chair, and to my knowledge, or my recollection anyway, the first selectman, Dan, wasn't involved. So I can't imagine this would be any different, or would it?
I don't know. That's why.
So I just want clarity,
Yeah.
because it just sounded to me like he has to do it and should be doing it.
Once the chair is voted and established, the first selectman's out. He doesn't do any more activity except he wants to watch.
Sure, I guess my point is that we just recently established the Youth and Family Commission, and there was no activity from the selectmen. So why would there be any activity on this one?
I'm not getting there.
Confused.
So there can be an ex officio member. It doesn't have to be the first selectman, I think is the thrust.
Pardon me?
An ex officio member from the Board of
Oh,
Selectmen.
ex officio?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the first selectman.
No, it doesn't. It can be, ex officio, I see what you're talking about.
Okay,
I got you now.
okay.
That's purely a decision by the Board of Selectmen as to which member you want to
I
appoint as a ex officio member to that commission.
Thank you. I just wanted a little clarity on it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, and I appreciate it. Any other questions? Those are some concerns that I had, and now I think we can start to move forward.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
you being
you.
here so late.
Yeah.
All right. Great. So now the next item on our agenda is a discussion and possible action, unaffiliated description of benefits. And Kevin, is that something you have?
So I think we spoke at the last meeting, if I remember correctly, and brought this up. I can't remember which board it was. I think it was the Board of Selectmen. So we're not affiliated. So the non-affiliated group, we're opening up discussions with the non-affiliated group to revamp the benefits package. Right, last time it was updated and approved by the Board of Selectmen was 2019. Our health insurance has changed since then, and there's a need to kind of update this benefits package, give it a look. So there'll be, the proposal right now is for 2 members of the Board of Selectmen, 2 members of the Board of Finance, and the discussion we're currently having at the moment is, since there's quite a few water and sewer employees, 40% of my salary is paid for water and sewer, and a lot of the public works guys have split allocations of their salaries as well. So in the last week or so, we've thought about adding a member of the Water and Sewer Commission to that as well, just because they have an interest in how the discussions pan out. So I believe the plan was to bring this forward, have a discussion tonight. Board of Finance will meet next week and have their two people. At the end of October, Water and Sewer will be picking their individual, and then we're hoping kind of mid to end of November we start meeting. There'll be 2 or 3 members of the non-affiliated group in the discussions as well, to kind of represent the non-affiliated group.
So tonight, if we're able to select 2 members of the Board of Selectmen,
We'd be ahead of schedule.
we would. We can try to do that tonight, or do you want to wait till the next meeting? What's the feeling?
Oh, I'm fine with whatever, we can do.
Okay.
You have a pulse on it?
So, do we have any, is anyone volunteering to be part of the panel that would like to serve?
I'll volunteer myself.
Okay, so, do we need an official motion to appoint? I'm not sure if we do.
Yes, we have in the past.
We have? All right. So,
Can I move to appoint myself?
no, so I'll make the motion then.
Okay.
So I move to appoint Jason Diebel as one of the members of the Board of Selectmen to be part of the unaffiliated description of benefits panel. Do I hear a second? You have a second? Okay. All right, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I'm going to abstain.
You're going to abstain.
To
So-
recuse myself.
Yep. So, all right, Jason abstains for obvious reasons. Congratulations.
Yes.
You can add this to
It's
the,
finally happened.
put that right on your resume and it'll be good. Okay. All right, do we have anyone else on the panel that would be willing to serve?
If no one else is interested, I've done it previously, I could do it again.
Do I hear a motion to appoint Roseanne Hardy?
So,
We have all right. And do I have a second?
second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of appointing Roseanne Hardy to the unaffiliated description of benefits committee, I guess we'll call it, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
We have 1 abstention and Roseanne. Okay. Congratulations, Roseanne. Appreciate you doing it. Jason, both of you, appreciate very much your willingness to.
Dream team.
Yeah, no, that'll be good. All right. It's getting late, but do we have ex officio reports tonight?
Well, you know we do.
Where do we start? Want to start, Roseanne? Want to start at your end, or we'll work our way?
Yes, I covered the Board of Ed this past month. Their last meeting was pretty much taken up with their discussion of the school building committee and how they would see their role in it and how to who to appoint. And basically, that was it.
Okay.
I'm on the short list tonight.
All right. Thank you, Roseanne. Jason?
I'll go quickly. I just have some updates from Brookside Farm Museum. There's some events coming up in the future that are pretty exciting. A whole lot of them. I'll just do the ones for this month. On 10/5, there is going to be a yoga mindfulness retreat on the property from 10 to 5. You can register, I believe, on the Facebook or website.
What's the date for that?
The 5th, 10/5.
10/5.
Yes.
Okay.
On 10/9, they're having one of their senior teas, which are very popular and well attended, from 1 to 3 on 10/9. And that is reserved for, I think, people from the senior center. But if you're interested in doing that, you can go to the senior center or go online. And then lastly, they have an event for 10/27, Spooky Stories from 1 to 3 for younger people to kind of celebrate the holidays in kind of a public space that's got some character, from 1 to 3 on the 27th.
And what date is it?
That is 10/27 for Spooky Stories, 1 to 3. In addition to historical ongoings in town, on 10/12 will be Nehantic Heritage Day at McCook's Point Park from 12 to 4. So that's all the historic stuff. And now that I'm looking at my notes, I did attend the yearly meeting of the Stars to STEM board, and they've got some exciting stuff coming soon. So keep an eye out for upcoming planetarium shows in a schedule going all the way out into 2025.
Great. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Ann, did you have anything tonight, or do you want to pass? I know you're not feeling well.
Yeah, no, no, I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Candace, do you have anything tonight?
WellSco was canceled for me.
Okay. And I didn't have any meetings, ex officio meetings. And I have a very brief selectmen's report. Let's see. Where's my calendar? Sorry. Here it is. Yep, so on the 21st, I attended the Lions. The Niantic Lions had their 75th anniversary celebration, and they held that at Langley's in Waterford. And, there's so many things that they contributed to the town over the years, and it was nice to be there, be with them, and celebrate. They were really central in working with us, with the Rotary, and with the town, and doing the band shell, and the pavilion behind the town hall here. They were instrumental in building that and creating it. So they have a long heritage and a long history with the town. So I was happy that I could be there with them. Also, I attended the Oyster Festival, and I want to tell you, if you didn't make it out to that event, it was jam-packed. I mean, at one point, I would say it was almost shoulder to shoulder. It was amazing the turnout we had this year for that Oyster Festival. So if you missed out this year, get down there. It was a lot of fun. Even if you don't love oysters, there's other food there and other things to do, and just mingling around with your neighbors. It was really nice. And then that Saturday night, the East Lyme Viking Band, they were hosting a competition of, I think, 8 marching bands. And of course, first selectman ought to go be there. I was invited, so I thought I would just mill about and say hello to people that I saw, and just wanted to have a presence there. But then they wanted me to march out on the field with the marching band, and I said, "Why? I'm not used to marching." And so we had a line, and so there was alumnus of them from years and years of the marching band people, and I said, "Yeah, okay, I'll walk out on the field." And next thing I know, they're locking arms with me, and all of a sudden the drum roll starts, and they're all marching in cadence, and I don't know how to, I haven't marched before, and I was at the end, and I was dragging the whole line down because, I couldn't go as fast as them, and then we got onto the AstroTurf, and I was slipping, and so I dragged my whole end of the line, and we finally made it to the lineup where we were supposed to be. But yeah, it was quite an experience, but I enjoyed it, and what a wonderful band we have, and so I was glad to be a part of it. So That's my first selectman's report for tonight. Do we have any communications? I'm not aware of it. Oh, we do have communications. Oh, thank you. Oh, boy, what's this?
Looks like a laugh a minute.
I don't want it then. Okay, I heard him say, what's this?
You do want to read it, actually.
Okay. Well, okay. So let's just be aware that we've received communication from FEMA, and has to do with flood insurance rate maps. So I think this is a little bit lengthy to go into right now, but we should all look at it and read it over, and then if there's something we need to discuss at the next meeting, we can do so. Thank you. Is there any public comment? Oh, yes.
Evening, Beth Sibilia, Center for Housing Equity and Opportunity, Eastern Connecticut. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Fair Rent Commission. The center will act certainly as a resource to the town, any town, adopting and establishing a Fair Rent Commission, including gathering any and all forms and models and rules from other Fair Rent Commissions for the consideration of your commission. So we are certainly ready, willing, and able to help technically with the implementation of the ordinance. With respect to the Windward Village residents in particular, one of the items that they wanted to see was an informational session for the town about what is a Fair Rent Commission. So we have the Housing Collective, my employer, has applied to the town for space at the community center. We are working around your Board of Selectmen meeting, so we're shooting for October 15th. We haven't had approval yet, and as soon as we do, we'll let you know so you can, if you can attend, if not, and including, invite your friends, family, neighbors. We want to make clear that there are certain misconceptions about fair rent commissions. For instance, is this rent control? Does this mean landlords can never evict somebody? Just kind of talk about what they are in a non-adversarial or advocacy way and impart information to the town. So I thank you for your action, and we stand ready, willing, and able to help. Additionally, one other thing, Mr. O'Connell was here, I hadn't seen him in some time. The Fair Rent Commission can only consider those 13 factors that are laid out in the statute and incorporated in your ordinance if there's evidence presented to it. So, they're not out there doing fact finding, and so I just wanted to make that clear. If there's evidence of one of those 13 pieces, then they're to consider that.
I think that's articulated in the ordinance.
It is, yes. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah,
Thank you again.
Thanks, Beth.
Thank you very much. All right, I don't have a selectman's response. Thank you, Beth, for your comments. All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn the October 2nd, 2024 regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen at 8:43 p.m.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Thank you, Candace. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Being none, motion carries. We stand adjourned.